Lighter than a feather, flowing in the weather. Hearts beating loud cause we are together. Lighter than a feather, flowing in the weather. Hearts beating loud cause we are together. We looking up at the stars, I got you all in my arms. Nervous cause I'm with you tonight. Angel from the heavens, got all of the sevens. Lucky to have you by my side. Our eyes meet and time has stopped. Felt like it was just the two of us. Hearts are dancing to the loudest beat, and our hearts are forever inside of me. I'll shout your name, cause you are all I need. So come with me, I promise I will never leave. Baby, I am wanting you more, cause I have never felt this way before. And all our problems disappeared in autumn. When I met you, it made my heart blossom. Laughing all night and drinking till tomorrow. Wishing our time will never end in sorrow. Our eyes meet and time has stopped. Felt like it was just the two of us. Hearts are dancing to the loudest beat, and our hearts are forever inside of me. I'll shout your name, cause you are all I need. So come with me, I promise I will never leave. Lighter than a feather, flowing in the weather. Hearts beating loud cause we are together. Lighter than a feather, flowing in the weather. Hearts beating loud cause we are together.
Hi! Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in for day 3 of our festival. Man, it's been a long week, so can we take a moment? Yeah, it's a Friday. Let's take a moment. Let's ground ourselves a little bit. It's been a busy week, so let's all take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. So, with me. Awesome. Thank you for taking that breath with me. Just want to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Ria Sampillo, she, her pronouns. I'm a second-generation Filipina American. I am the co-organizer for Starry Nite Arts Fest, also part of the OCA Arts and Storytelling Committee. I also organize in the Filipinx community here in Houston under Filipino American Unity for Progress. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to my co-organizer, Trish.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have an amazing lineup for y'all. I'm so excited for this. So my name is Trisha Morales. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a 1.5 generation Filipino American based in Houston, Texas. I also organize with the Filipinx community with Unipro as the marketing director, and I'm also the core organizer for Starry Nite Arts Fest. Before we start our programming, we would love to do, we're going to do a land acknowledgement, and Ria will do that for us.
All right, so, well, we personally want to share that we are continuously learning and recognizing our own place in history of colonization, working to unlearn any actions and behaviors that may silence others or perpetuate systemic oppression. We want to take part, but also encourage all of you to uplift and connect with the cultural legacies that existed and continue to exist today. Within the festival theme of giving, we mentioned that we want to give space for unheard voices, especially tonight. And this is our first step in honoring that throughout the festival. We acknowledge that we occupy stolen land. The lands that make up Texas are home to the Alabama Coshada tribe of Texas, the Kickapoo traditional tribe of Texas, the Isleta del Sur Pueblo, the Lipan Apache tribe, and the Texas Band of Yaqui Indians. There are many more groups in Texas that are not mentioned, which means they're excluded from financial aid resources. We acknowledge many systemic erasure of these tribes and recognize they are still among us today. We acknowledge the peoples of these nations, their cultures, their communities, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. We acknowledge and offer deep gratitude to the land and waters in which we stand upon. If not in Texas, at the moment, you can find whose land you're occupying here at native-land.ca. Thank you so much for taking that moment with us, and I'm going to hand it off to Trish to discuss OCA mission and vision.
Yes, thank you, Ria, for doing that. So, OCA Greater Houston's mission is to advance the social, political, economic well-being of the AAPI community. We do this in various programs. Please watch this recap video of everything that we've done in the last years. This year, we did a few new programs, and I kind of want to highlight that. This year, we launched our Asian Restaurant Weeks, where we featured different AAPI local restaurant mom-pop shops, restaurant owners, and chefs, and was also part of the team that raised $100,000 to feed frontline workers while also providing revenues for these restaurants. In June, we had our Happy Film Festival, which is a multi-day celebration of film. This year it was virtual, and again, it was to promote the AAPI creatives in the film and entertainment industry. Throughout the year, our team worked with high school and college youth to support leadership development. We had our amazing team that outreached to over 210,000 homes for the census and voting. We had racial justice workshops where we used film to have deeper dialogue with our community. And lastly, you guys are witnessing or being present with us in our Starry Nite Arts Festival programming. You can see all of this programming in ocahouston.org. So check out the website, and before we talk about Starry Nite Arts Festival, I wanted to highlight someone behind the scenes doing all the amazing work. And this would not be possible without her. So please, everyone, welcome Maria Duran.
Hola.
Awesome. Actually, thank you, Maria, so much. Like, again, the magic wouldn't have happened without you. But yes, we're the co-organizers, but we actually want to introduce our MCs for tonight. All right, so wonderful women. So let me go ahead and start with our first one. So we have Audrey Pan. Audrey Pan is a current youth organizer and is working to grow the college affiliate program of OCA. She is also on the Young Professionals Board of Chinatown Youth Initiative, whose power is to empower New York City youth with the knowledge and skills necessary to address the needs of Chinatown, Asian Americans, and other represented communities. She grew up in NYC's Chinatown as the daughter of Chinese immigrants and former garment workers. She has always been a fierce advocate for fair and humane immigration policies and labor conditions. She holds a BA from Middlebury College in sociology with minors in education and Spanish, and hopes to pursue community lawyering in the near future. In her free time, she enjoys hiking, traveling, and reading fiction cafes. So Abby, hey Abby, what's up? Abby Trino is an OCA-GH fellow working to revive the junior high school affiliate program of OCA Greater Houston while pursuing her CAP-M certification. A graduate of University of Texas at Austin, she discovered her love for developing relationships and providing space for meaningful conversations with others on the 40 acres. She has a strong passion for listening to other people's stories and working together to find not a compromise, but a collaboration. Being a first-generation immigrant from the Philippines, having interned in Japan, and working with several AAPI organizations, she has become an advocate for building bridges between people of all backgrounds and a voice that promotes diversity and cultural appreciation. In her free time, Abby enjoys cooking, singing, socially distanced dancing, and finding picture-perfect moments to caption with her thoughts on her Instagram. All right, everybody, can you give it up for our wonderful MCs for tonight, Abby and Audrey?
So I know both our names start with an A. So if y'all got confused, I'm Audrey.
And I'm Abby.
And we're so excited to be your MCs for tonight. Please send us a lot of comments and questions in the YouTube and on Facebook. We want a lot of energy, and even though we can't be together in person, we're trying to hype this up in the virtual space. Abby, do you want to talk about Starry Nite Fest?
Right. So Starry Nite Fest, this was a festival to highlight and celebrate the diversity of the AAPI artists, cultures, and community. And before COVID, we would all just gather on Corporate Drive and just have this huge night market. In here, we get to share the untold experience for the greater Houston metropolitan area through a shared AAPI community space. OCA Greater Houston has been giving back to the community, and this is just a thank you for the support and the partnerships by highlighting the youth, orgs, businesses, and just everyone who's been contributing to the community. So now that we're, in COVID time, how have things changed now?
Yeah, so, originally this was supposed to be 3 days, but, we were like, 2020 has been a long year, so let's make this 7 days. So we have 7 days worth of programming, and, we really wanted to choose the theme for this year to be about giving. Oftentimes, when we think about giving, we're just always thinking about giving out to others, giving time and energy to other people, but, there's not a lot of times where we look inwards and we think about how have we been giving to ourselves. And, we really wanted to use this festival as a way to have our audience members and community members, take a step back and be like, how have I been giving so much? And, what is the time that I need to take right now to give back to myself? So throughout the night, think about that. And, we broke up this concept into 4 large pillars. Giving back to the community, which, organizations like OCA constantly does. Giving up old habits, giving up space for unheard voices, and also giving yourself time to heal. Tonight, you all are here for pillar 3, giving up space for unheard voices. And before we jump into, meeting some of our artists and performers tonight, I want to talk about the lineup so far. If you haven't had a chance, please check out our website, starrynitefest.com, to take a look at all our workshops that we've had so far. All of them have been recorded and are on our website. And if they aren't yet, they're going to be up. So let's talk about it. So we kicked it off last weekend, December 11th, with our first pillar, giving back to the community. And throughout this week, we've had amazing workshops. We've had things from manifesting your own manuscript. Last night we had a journaling workshop. We had a book talk with Kaukalia Yang, who's an amazing Hmong American writer. And we're trying to bring in all these different types of art form into the same platform and into the same week. And just to talk a little bit about programming that's upcoming, the week is almost to an end, but not there yet. So we have tonight, right? We have the live performances today for giving space for unheard voices. Tomorrow, we have yoga in the morning. We're gonna be there from 10 to 11 with Amy Hugh. We have a showing of Fighting for Family, a film by actually one of my friends who's an organizer in the Bay Area, Fighting for Family, which tells a story about Southeast Asian deportation and raising awareness about this issue. And then we have our last live, which is Giving Yourself Time to Heal, another panel of amazing artists and performers tomorrow. So same thing, click the live stream tomorrow. And then December 20th in the morning, we have acro yoga. And then we're ending the festival with a showing of Asian Americans, all 5 parts of the documentary. So if you didn't get a chance to see that this spring, you'll get to see it this Sunday, December 20th. And with that, I think we're ready to start, Abby.
Right, so let's start. Tonight, we will be viewing submissions under the concept of giving space for unheard voices. But real quick, hit the subscribe button below or off to the side, wherever you're viewing it, to have access to our future events, and you don't want to miss, the upcoming videos. Yes, right there. All right, so our first live performance, we have Callista Ogburn. She's a Korean and Vietnamese American college student who reaches her readers by sharing her feelings and experiences through poetry. Tonight, we will be giving her space to let her voice be heard by listening to 3 of her poems. Callista, I'm giving it off to you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And thank you so much for everyone who is tuning in on this amazing festival. Tonight, I will be performing 3 poems, as I mentioned, from my published poetry book called This Is It. And this book highlights the rising anti-Asian racism during the COVID-19 pandemic and the feeling of loss, loneliness, or the combined grief and rage of experiencing racism. So the first poem I will be performing tonight is called An Asian Poem is the First Thing You Run to During a Pandemic. If these words were to fill the void of the lost blood and frightened children, this poem are the souls of those who were too scared to speak up. Go back to where you came from cuts our throats, leaves us in an alley so dark. Where does the flashlight guide if we no longer want to go home? The world consumed us and threw us up on the ground with our bodies limp. Our souls soared into the sky and begged for the hands of others. Yet we were left there to die. And the second poem I will be performing is called Mothers. My mother taught me how to get used to the stares by placing my hand over my eyes, pretend I don't see others mocking my culture, grabbing the chopsticks and stretching their hearts to find room for the culture they want to eat, swallowing my home, digesting my ancestors' fruits, puking up bones they tried to bury. They sit at the kitchen table with their fingers crossed on their hearts, promising this food is their own, putting kimchi into their garden, hoping for Korean mothers to grow and teach them our culture, because their mothers never could. And lastly, my third poem is called Strawberry. I knock on the front door. My toes start to freeze and the door finally opens. I step in, place my boots on the rack, hold the box of fruits with my dry hands. I smile. The mother does not. Looks down at my socks. She demands I put my boots back on. This is not an Asian household. I should know better. I clench the strawberries. Blueberries are on the edge of the box. Blackberries scream. Mangoes ripen at the speed of sound. Mangosteens cry, and she grabs the box. Fruits beg to be back into my arms. She does not wash them, does not shower them with love, does not care for the dirt that resides within their fingers. A strawberry makes its way to her mouth, sobs, asks for mercy, begs. I cried that night. And those are the 3 poems that I'll be performing tonight. And thank you so much for listening.
I'm snapping. Yes, Calissa. As I said the other night when I was facilitating a conversation with Kaukalia Yang, thank you for your words. Thank you for your stories and your narrative. And again, we need more voices like ours in the space, in the literary world, in the world of the written word. So thank you for sharing that. As you acknowledged, this year, there has been an increased amount of xenophobia and anti-Asian racism. And so I want to ask you, how have you been taking care of yourself this year? And also, how have you embodied the word giving?
That is an amazing question. I would say that poetry has been my best friend through everything. Without poetry, I don't know where I would be right now without this pandemic. But I would say that I embody giving by creating poems from my experience of being an Asian American during the pandemic, and shining light and bringing attention to the suppressed voices and experiences of others as well. And I just want to say a quick thank you. I want to say thank you all for putting on this together. It's amazing. And I wanted to say thank you to the watchers who are listening and tuning into this amazing festival. I just wanted to say that thank you for being here, and also that the winter cold season, or wherever you are, the holiday season in general, is warm and cozy and bright, and that you take care of yourself. And if that means writing or listening to some poetry, then so be it. But thank you all for having me here. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to catch you in the panel soon. And so very excited to hear more about your thoughts and what else you have to say. So we'll see you soon. Speaking of writers, I'm very excited to present to you our next performer of the night, Joshua Nguyen, who is a Vietnamese American writer, a local Houstonian, also a national poetry slam champion, which is not something that many people can say. He's also a bubble tea connoisseur. I need to put that on my resume. That is something I need to aspire to. He's also currently a PhD student at the University of Mississippi, where he received his MFA. Before I bring on Joshua, I want to highlight something that I really loved about his writings. Joshua, I checked out your website, which is joshuanguyen.com. Y'all check him out. And I went through several of your articles that you put out. And what I love about your writing is that you for each piece that you write, I feel like you're doing a call to action for the Asian American community. And especially this year where, yes, there was a lot of anti-Asian racism and xenophobia. I think there's also a need to address the anti-Blackness that occurs within our community as well. And what I love about your pieces is that you're bringing in both. You're highlighting the issues that we as a community face, yes, but also talk about positionality and the ways that we need to also bridge and heal among other communities of color. So thank you. And I just want to highlight one line in particular in your writing, Not So Subtle Asian Traits, which is funny because I am on Subtle Asian Traits on Facebook. And you wrote, there needs to be a hard conversation in the Asian American community, especially young Asian folks, to not be afraid to open up tough discussions among their Asian friends, to unpack the learned prejudices passed down from elders who may never change their ways. We must no longer be bystanders while our marginalized groups continue to be targeted and violated. And with that, I'm so excited to bring on Joshua.
Oxymorons. Oxymorons are contradicting terms like jumbo shrimp, a just war, white, color, Zimmerman acquitted, Michael Brown, not a race issue, Asian caught bystander, not a race issue, Breonna Taylor, knock, knock, warrant issue. Diverse campus, Vietnamese studies protests, diverse campus, one black scientist professor, diverse campus, bleach bombs over brown heads. Friend takes culture class, thinks he can't be ignorant. Austin population grows by 20%. Black population falls by 5. High Asian income, model minority. If doctored expected, if not ashamed. Asian woman hypersexualized. Asian men emasculated. Invites for Asian American Christian groups, afraid to be cornered into my own kind. Father says treat everyone equal. Father blames brown boy on train for missing wallets. Father, that is profiling. He says eat your food. Mom, let's talk about dad. I cry at the table. Throat silent to white America. Rice cooked with our own spit. Lessons from my father before my birth. Legend states, if you let a dragonfly bite you in your belly button, you'll be able to float. Your great-grandfather spoke of an emperor that had sex with so many women, and that is why there are so many people with our last name, Nguyen. Nguyen. Enunciate each letter clearly. It is hard to hear across an ocean we've traveled, across blisters I've bled, walking to school an hour away on a road filled with guerrilla warfare. I learned the mechanics of my fists, felt other flesh scrape my knuckles. I learned there are times when you have to throw dirt to prevent your face from becoming dust. I carried dragonflies in my pocket when we fled Vietnam, just in case the boat tipped over, in case they got sick from the stench of carcass beneath the floorboards, floating on the ship for weeks, the load getting lighter from the lack of food. You will never meet all your uncles because most of them died in the war. We lived poor, but we appreciated how banh mi tasted like. I am afraid for you. Will you sink into a fresh, clean blanket, whitewash? Let this ground swallow you whole. Will you suffocate on this foreign smell I give you? Will you scrub the dirt from underneath your fingernails? Become ashamed of the path I've walked. Forget that I came to America with only bugs in my pockets, a pocket to cultivate my culture onto you. There will be dragonflies in my stomach the day you are born. You will come home with dust in your eyes and blood in your shoes. The term chink will be a strange dagger in your throat. You will come to me. Ask why people struggle to look into our eyes. Why our last name isn't unique. I will slap you for crying. Make you kneel on rice. Arms folded across your chest. I will whip the pain out of you until your spoiled life becomes ingrained in your knees. Another legend states, after the collapse of the whole dynasty, we adopted the name Nguyen to avoid being hunted. Your name means survival. Your name is with cousins you can't communicate with. Your name is a pun that everybody wants their mouth on. Your name is a ladder of bodies clinging on to the last helicopter out. If I awaken on my 50th birthday, I will be the first male in my family to do so. I will fly over you with dilapidated wings, land on your shoulder, help you float in this Houston humidity, collapsing onto your yellow skin. If you swim too far off the coast, if you make your tongue a phantom limb, when the hurt of my history haunts you, when it tapes your eyelids back, when it is too much to bear, when you struggle to come up for air, I will help you float. Hi, I just time traveled, and also during the time travel, changed my shirt, went from white to black. Wild. No, those two were pre-recordings. Thank you for listening to them. They're just harder pieces, so I figured to pre-record them. I'll be reading this next piece. Before I read this next piece, content warning, it mentions sexual assault. I wrote this because I see the, there's like a redefinition of Asian American masculinity happening right now, I think. But I think we have to be nuanced with it and think about this redefinition in regards to whiteness. So this is a long time ago, there was this YouTuber called Lilo. Her name was Lilo Rose. and she would go on the streets in Asia and just kiss random Asian dudes without their consent. So this is called exhaustion. But every time Leela Rose kisses a random Asian man in the street, a new stanza begins, and the amount of words between the boxes increase by 1. I will snap to signal a stanza change. Lips, dry, cracked, cornered, unsure, flustered, unconsented, befuddled. Click start, click play, click bait, unhinged jaw, shaky camera, misplaced fingers, white savior. Someone stop her. Someone tell her. Not your handshake, not your duty, not your right for video. YouTube view counts, public display of, from a haunted past, trapped in the bunk bed, stuck under the sheets, trapped down the street, trapped in the massage parlor. If you let me, not enough time to respond. My tongue is not yours. You should ask every time. You should ask every time. You should ask every time. You should ask every freaking time. Every person who looks like me does not need your expert validation. Every person who looks like me isn't who we see on TV. Instead, we see people like you in front of people like me, trying to swallow the breath out of people whose eyes say, keep your pity. When I see you running up to kiss Asian people in the street, I remember every finger from my friend's friend that pinned my cheek to the ground, that told me to not be scared, who locked the room while my friend strummed split-screen sadness to drown out. The 1 year it snowed in Houston, I stayed inside watching Rush Hour 2, cheered when Jackie got to kiss on screen, learned there are 2 ways to be wanted. One being the pleasant calm you hope for. The other, where all your will is taken, tucked between dimples dug deep from not reacting fast enough. You will not impose your saliva upon my enough. Your good intentions will not make myself masculine enough. You have no right to this body. This pain is not yours to suck, swallow, grope, damage, or burn. My burdens don't need your unsolicited healing. Say no more about how my struggle causes you drowning, and just listen. This last poem I'm about to read, I wanted to end on a more joyful, positive note. One of my mentors was like, "You never write anything good about yourself." So this was a poem I tried to write for myself in praise of myself. It's called "In Praise of My Threaded Eyebrows." It's a pantoum. It's after Amy Nizuka-Matado's poem "In Praise of My Manicure." In praise of thread, doubled and twisted, a helix love affair between beauty and pain, tension of pulled skin, friction in the form of heat. Praise the 2 hands which grasp my hair's execution. Not far behind beauty is pain, the tension of pulling rows of caterpillar legs from the dirt, using the hands of gravity's air to perfect execution, the monarch leaving its chrysalis behind. Farewell, caterpillars resting below the acne of my forehead. Hello, shiny sleek queens arched with a crown full of crystals. Behind the throne, a curtain made of nylon, yanked apart across my forehead. I fall in love with a yellow sleek queen trimming the hedge above my nose. Curtailing made from neon, yank a part of my body on the edge of the salon, stretched, trimmed, and hedged, and before I know it, there are parts of me that see again. The edge of the salon outstretches its arms, doubled, twisted, helix love of praise and thread. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Joshua. Oh my gosh, I kind of Oh.
We were fangirling here backstage.
Thanks for doing your research, by the way. You read that article of mine from a while ago. That was nice.
Yeah, I read everything.
Yes. Wow, I'm so speechless. I can't even just ask you my follow-up question because like, there just needs to be a conversation for that. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for just giving that space and just, through you, that unheard voice that just needs to be heard and just kind of being, I guess, the vessel for that message to come through. So thank you so much. And I mean, this kind of goes without asking, but I guess to just hear it from you one more time, a quick question: how have you embodied giving this year?
I think two ways. I think when I think about writing, I think about like legacy and like my literary legacy. I think about like the traditional white literary canon, and so I think about, hopefully in like 100 years, some like sad Vietnamese kid will come across my work and will be like, hey, I can be a writer too, or they'll feel like, oh, like I relate to this writer, or I also think about like all the 4 poems I read, they all like touch upon like very sensitive topics, right? The first one is about like anti-Blackness within the Asian community. The second one's like intergenerational trauma and stuff like that. The third one was about like Asian American masculinity, but like in regards to whiteness. And then so I think about just like the conversations that one could have through poetry, and what people can like take from that. I think about like, the generational silence in families. There's a lot of the stuff I read about my family doesn't really talk about. So for me, it's like I think poetry for me is like a vessel of like opening these conversations that are needed, and doing it in a way that's still art, But yeah, thank you so much for having me, OCA. Thank you for emceeing. It was great to make this makeshift lighting in my childhood room.
Thank you so much for just being here, and we'll catch you later in the live Q&A. Yes, and just please stick around because you won't want to miss what Joshua has to say. So thank you so much. Again, wow, that was just amazing. The next person we have is also somebody who uses his voice through another art form, and just kind of just giving the space to have this dialogue that needs to be had. And when people are not willing to just sit down and have this conversation, they just find other ways to do it, whether it's through poetry, through song, or like this individual, through dance. Vikash is an individual who works towards empowering the voices that need to be heard. He's a counselor at DAIA who has been giving back to survivors and helping them find their voice and reclaim it. Just fair warning, there is a mature language in the piece. I just need to bring that up. But tonight we'll be seeing him share his unheard voice through dance.
Hi, my name is Vikash Ravi. I'm a social worker based in Houston, Texas, and I currently work for a nonprofit called DAIA Houston, which is a nonprofit geared towards empowering survivors and victims of domestic violence within the South Asian community. The way that I believe I embody giving is with social work, with dance, with all of my hobbies and extracurriculars. One of the things that I've always found value in is giving space to people or to voices that maybe haven't really been heard before, aren't really put in the spotlight, and sometimes when they're not put in the spotlight, the representation isn't there, those voices feel suppressed and they feel like they're not allowed to exist. And the one thing that I wish and want for everyone is to feel that they are heard and feel that there is a space for them to be accepted. And so this work and the way that I embody that is trying to provide that in the best way that I possibly can, which is why I entered social work, which is why I thrive to be as effective as a therapist as possible, and why I thrive to create pieces that matter with dance. This specific piece that you're going to watch is It's a minority take on domestic violence and a personal survivor story about a male partner experiencing abuse from their female partner. I wanted to channel that as best as I could through my choreo and through dance and just bring some life to that. This is a very personal story for me. It's something that has happened to me before, something that I unfortunately survived a few years ago, and it lasted a lot longer than it should have. And I didn't know at the time that I could even be in a category of something like a survivor of abuse or a victim of abuse. And so that's something really important that I wanted to give some credence to. I want to shout out Trisha Morales and Ria Sampio for thinking of me to give me an opportunity to create this piece and to channel something of myself into a project. I haven't done it in forever, and I wouldn't have been motivated to do that without them thinking of me to try and do this project. And also a shout out to my mentor, Andrew Batterina, for helping me piece together exactly what this message was supposed to be. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Hey, oh my god, I literally had like the worst day ever. Oh my god, I don't even want to talk about it. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're just sitting on the couch. You're just fucking sitting there? Dude, literally, what are you doing? Dude, seriously? You've been in the same position like all day. Are you fucking kidding me right now? You're not even fucking talking to me. Dude, I'm not fucking joking. Dude, I don't know what's going on with you, but this isn't working out for me. I don't even get romantic vibes from you anymore. All I wanted to do is come home to a partner that actually loves me and cherishes me, and you're fucking sitting there like a stone. Oh my god! What did I even do? You deserve it! Oh my god!
More than ever. More than ever. I know that I've been in trouble. I know I need you. You know I need you, baby. So much on my mind, I ain't even really sleeping lately. I said some things I didn't mean, I know I did too much. What's love if we can't get into it, turn around and make up? You kept it solid from the beginning, baby, you my day one. You caught me in a lie, look back up at you like I'm dumb. I had to make you my girl, you ain't afraid to speak up. No matter where we are, who it is, you still gon' tee up. Go through withdrawals only if I get back together, yeah. You stay 10 toes down, now you can kick your feet up. I had to boss you up, I had to level up myself. I did some growing up, I'm doing better for myself, but I still need you. More than ever. More than ever. I need you. More than ever. I know that I'm in trouble.
Wow. Thank you, Vikash, for your words, and also the work that you do, and for being at DIA as well. DIA was one of the organizations that we brought on for a community panel. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, please go onto our website and check out that recording of the live. Again, we highlighted different community organizations that have been doing amazing work through and throughout. And Vikash, thank you for being on that team and also being help for survivors out there. The next person I want to bring on, she is multifaceted by nature. She is someone who expresses herself best through creative expressions in arts and performance. And she's also a businesswoman, so shout out to that. And she's going to be singing 2 songs for us tonight around the themes of unleashing oneself and also about self-love, something that we all need to do more of. And I'm going to leave it to Renaya so that she could talk more about herself and also her work.
Hi, my name is Renaya, and I'm an artist, transformation enthusiast. I'm also a coach and chief communication officer and managing partner with Fit Theorem. I'm also a performer, and I have will be performing 2 songs. The first being Unleashed, which is an original, written about releasing oneself from unfavorable situations that prevent growth. And the other one is called Bow to Me, which is essentially about self-love. I embody giving, and basically by being exactly who I am, I believe that I'm equipped with many, many talents and gifts, and all of which help contribute to others' growth. So whether that's in singing, performing, in business, in fitness, everything that I do, the intention is to help contribute to growth, and even in terms of society. So I believe I definitely embody giving. So I want to shout out OCA. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate in Starry Nite. I'm super, super excited about the opportunity. And you guys are doing amazing work, especially giving a platform for artists like myself to express themselves and have it be connected to such an amazing cause. And I also like to shout out my Fit Fam at Fit Theorem, all of you guys that are always supporting me in all of my many, many, many endeavors. So, and then of course, shouting out my family. So thank you so much. I'd be lying if I say I really wanted to stay. You see, the emotions have already been put into place for me to walk away from this same old rhythmless beats. I don't do well with life on repeat, hanging around to a familiar sound just because I'm afraid my feet might leave the ground unleashed to take flight to new heights. I'm ready now. Should have left a long time ago, but I didn't know. You see, I didn't know. I didn't know. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't know what's coming over me. I don't know what's coming over me, but I see a way out of here. I see a way out of here, and I'm taking it, and I'm going as fast as I can. I'm taking it, and I'm going as fast as I can. Ooh, 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 won't be long, I'll be gone. Gonna leave behind all my belongings. Won't be long, I'll be gone. Oh, gonna leave behind all my misery. 'Cause I see a way out of here. I see a way free. I've been living life without blind faith. Now I know there's more in store for me. And I'm taking it, I'm taking it, and I'm going as fast as I can. I'm taking it, I'm taking it, and I'm going as fast as I can. Ooh, 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 each day, promise me to love me like no one could ever love me. Even through all of the ups and downs, I will always be the only one true love for me. The ups and downs and turn around. Unwrap for me into my breast me. I wear my crown and I do it unapologetically. And I'm filled with love as I give love to me. Speak love to me. Breathe love into me. Oh, each day I promise me to love me like no one could love me. If they love the ups and downs, I will always be the only one true love for me. The ups and downs and turn around. I love for me into my breast me. I wear my crown and I do it unapologetically. And I'm filled with love as I give love to me. Speak love to me. Breathe love into me. Oh, give love to me. Speak love to me. Breathe love into me. Oh, each day I promise me to love me like no one could love me. If they don't the ups and downs, I will always be the only one true love for me. What true love for me. Won't you love me? Oh, won't you
Man, she can sing. I know I sang like a little bit, but like, thank you, Renaya, for just putting your voice out there for all of us shower singers. Oh my gosh,
Like literally putting your voice out there.
Yes, that. Oh my gosh, ooh, that vibrato and those runs. Ooh. But anyways, Renaya's message of unleashing oneself and reminds me of another person we have here tonight, who strives to create change. Stephanie. Stephanie is a high school junior from Southern California, and she's the founder and executive of Dear Asian Youth and the co-founder of CUSD Against Racism. Her identity as a Chinese American has pushed her to passionately uplift marginalized voices into intersectional activism. Dear Asian Youth currently has over 130 chapters around the world and over 200 works of literature. In her free time, she enjoys writing poetry and listening to jazz and R&B. So Stephanie, I'll hand it off over to you.
We're experiencing some technical difficulties. Stephanie, if you can hear us, please can you put on some headphones so that we can hear you? We want to hear everything you have to say, please. You know what? In the meantime, I'm gonna talk.
Oh my God.
Stephanie, backstage, let us know when you got these headphones on, and we're gonna bring you back. But you know, right now we're just gonna talk. Abby, how are you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, are we loving these performances? Yeah, you know, like this whole week has been so long, right? We've been doing programming every single day. Originally, we're gonna have 3 days, but then, you know, we decided to give you all audience members 7 days worth of programming. So we've been here, we've been busting it. And thank you for everyone for coming out tonight and checking out this lineup. Abby, do you have a favorite workshop you've attended so far? Favorite performance?
The favorite performance, though, it's actually going to come up, you know, later.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Wait, I feel like I know who you're talking about.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I feel like I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Honestly, number one fan.
Okay. Favorite workshop?
Favorite workshop? Okay, so I was actually working when y'all were doing this, but it was I think which one was the one that you were doing the other night? It was like we were in the living room.
Yesterday?
Yes.
The journaling room?
Yes.
Yes. Shout out to my girl Jess Song. Okay, you know why I'm talking about Jess Song while we're here right now. Jess Song, y'all. Follow her on Instagram at JESSSONG. So 3 S's. We did a journaling workshop last night. I also got my tarot cards read the other day by Kashav Kant. She is the co-editor for offcolor.org, which is a nonprofit in Canada, uplifting API voices. Okay, here we go, Stephanie.
And another, you know, the next one who's also lifting up API voices. Let's go, Stephanie. Let's go.
Hi. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for that wonderful introduction. Again, I'm Stephanie, and today I'll be performing Dear Asian Girl, which was one of actually the first poems I wrote surrounding Asian American identity. And I wrote this when I first began Dear Asian Youth, which is my organization centered around Asian activism. And this whole poem pretty much seeks to kind of represent the struggle so many Asian girls face and how we overcame that adversity to finally celebrate each other and ourselves. Awesome. So, dear Asian girl, let me tell you a story. She was young at first, young and proud at first. Roots nurtured by her ancestors, she would lie on the ground to soak up their wisdom. Short, stubby branches reached out to touch their souls, and she would feel the life that once danced on the sacred land. She would taste the golden nectar of her language from the seeds her mother planted. Her pride, the sunlight that fed. Her stories, the sweet water that nurtured. Her traditions, the soil, a structure of all things beautiful. But soon her branches grew into the unknown, and she went into the world in search of greener pastures, but instead she found dying roots. Savage, they called her. Chink, gook, China doll. They claimed she stung with her thorns, but they didn't know her thorns were her beauty, and they tainted her sunlight until the fire burned her insides, casted a dry spell until it robbed her of her water, stole her fruit, snapped her branches, colonized her soil, until her song became only a faint memory on her lips, and her stories stayed forgotten dreams. But dear Asian girl, do not forget where you came from. Lie on the ground again and turn back the clock. Revisit your mother's kitchen, fill the air with notes of sour and sweet, and feel prickles of spice soothe down your throat. And dear Asian girl, you know you're home. Like that of a child, let your people's lullaby sing you to sleep, harmonized to a chorus so sweet that you can taste the wonders on your tongue. Because, dear Asian girl, we sing our tunes in different tongues, different swirls and different drums beat the same beat. Our hearts still beat the same beat. And together, Asian girl, we create our own harmony, a battle cry so loud you can hear it in your chest when you breathe, and smell the burning fire when you scream. Look around you. See how far we've come? Well, dear Asian girl, we've only just begun. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for that. Amazing. And as
Thank you.
Asian girl myself, I felt that. So thank you. I want to do a quote from an article that you were featured in, where you said that Dear Asian Youth is not simply an organization or a literary magazine, it's a community. So I want to ask you, because this year we're talking about giving, how has Dear Asian Youth as a community given back this year?
Yeah, so I really think that beyond anything else, Dear Asian Youth really works to provide a space, especially for voices that are like traditionally unheard, and for Asian people across the world to share their own stories and to have a place where they feel like they can be heard without being shut down. So I really think that's where we kind of embody like the theme of giving. And in addition to that, I think beyond just like giving a space for everyone, we're also a really big family. A lot of them who maybe live in predominantly white areas have said that they've never really felt like an Asian community that was very welcoming. So this was kind of like a safe space for them to not only have their voice heard, but also to make lifelong connections.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for creating that space. We need more spaces like that. Stephanie, we definitely are excited to hear more from you later. And so we're going to see you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Y'all, the next person I am so excited to bring on, Antonius. Antonius has so much energy. They are a spontaneous shapeshifter, a polydisciplinary artist, full of life. I'm so excited to bring on Antonius. Let's cue him up.
Good evening, beautiful people of this dimension. My name is Antonius Bowie, and I am a spontaneous shapeshifter and polydisciplinary artist. I go by they, them, theirs pronouns, and I absolutely love what I do because being an artist is an ever-changing title. For me, it is synonymous with being a caretaker, an educator, an activist, agitator, curator, thinker, and so much more. It really is about responding to the times and responding to the needs of one's community. At the moment, I am working on a new series of life-size hand-cut paper portraits of queer Asian Pacific Islander Americans. I also have the greatest honor of working with Matt Manalo on developing exhibitions and programs for A-Leaf Art House. If you haven't had the chance to already, please take a trip to A-Leaf and experience all that A-Leaf Art House has to offer. It is an ever-changing, flexible, creative space that really highlights the talents of our home. So I am currently based in New Haven, Connecticut, where my partner, Brandon Brooks, is finishing his architecture degree at Yale. But I am thinking about you and all the Houston Bays out there each and every single day. I miss the supportive, diverse Houston arts community and look forward to being home post-COVID, hopefully early 2021. Ooh. And when asked about my relationship to the word giving, I can't help but really think about how the pandemic, election, and nation's ongoing reckoning with race have really highlighted how our idea of normal was/is so toxic, deadly, and unsustainable, especially for marginalized communities, specifically Black and Brown folks and members of the LGBTQIA+ community. So during this time, I've just been trying to be more gracious with my honesty and criticality. I firmly believe that confronting one's own mistakes and flaws are necessary in order to expand, progress, and grow. And so this really requires one to slow down, be with oneself, and truly reflect on where you are spending your time, the most valuable resource out there. And as an artist, slowing down and saying no sounds so counterintuitive. So often we are saying yes to every single project out there out of necessity, survival, and relevance. Being an artist is so difficult and financially shaky. The idea of saying no and risking never getting this opportunity back sounds so terrifying. But I've been trying to really evaluate which projects actually align with my mission, values, and goals. To really take this time to evaluate how I want to move forward, how the projects I've completed in the past few years have either failed or been successful. And so, yeah, I've just been trying to be a lot more gracious in that sense, to be more honest and critical with oneself. And so, where am I at now? I am so honored to be right here. So grateful to the Starry Nite Arts Festival team for inviting me to stand alongside a phenomenal lineup of APIA creative thinkers and artists. I personally wouldn't be who I am and where I am today if it weren't for each and every single one of you. Like I said, being an artist is so difficult, and I could not be doing it if it weren't for each and every single one of you out there. So I'm wishing everyone a safe and inspiring holiday season. Continue being your fabulous selves. Dream bigger and more radical than ever before. 2021 shall be ours. Miss you, love you. See you soon, Houston. Ciao, my loves. My name is Antonius Bowie, and today I would like to share a work by Mark Aguhar. Mark Aguhar, aka Call Out Queen, on her blog, Blogging for Brown Girls on Tumblr, really exemplifies the theme of Unheard Voices for me because she was so fearless about being a genderqueer person of color, fat, femme, fag, feminist. And with her work, she really highlighted the fact that it's not us who don't have voices, but it's the structures of white supremacy that continue to erase, kill, and silence us. And it is of utmost importance that we continue to be unapologetically ourselves and to demand to be seen, heard, recognized, acknowledged, and immortalized in history, to be in control of our own stories. And so today, I would like to share Litanies to My Heavenly Brown Body by Mark Aguhar. And instead of simply reading it, I invite all of y'all to repeat after me. I will say each line of this poem, prayer, spell, and I invite you to fill the space of your room by saying it aloud with me to embrace the magic, wisdom, and fabulosity of Mark Aguhar. So here we go. Litanies to My Heavenly Brown Body. Blessed are the sissies. Blessed are the boy dykes. Blessed are the people of color, my beloved kith and kin. Blessed are the trans. Blessed are the high femmes. Blessed are the sex workers. Blessed are the authentic. Blessed are the disidentifiers. Blessed are the gender illusionists. Blessed are the non-normative. Blessed are the gender queers. Blessed are the kinksters. Blessed are the disabled. Blessed are the hot fat girls. Blessed are the weirdo queers. Blessed is the spectrum. Blessed is consent. Blessed is respect. Blessed are the beloved who I didn't describe, I couldn't describe, will learn to describe and respect and love. Amen. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Antonius. That was so powerful. And it is just so important to have those conversations between these communities and just each community, no matter how different we are, we still go through some type of struggle. And it's just important to understand that, hey, we need to stand up together and not let an overpowering group just silence our voices. So thank you so much for paying homage to someone who highlighted how important it is to unapologetically be ourselves. Someone who also has learned how to be himself is An Bui. He will be talking about how he has used art to confront transcultural experiences, and he brings forth a voice to speak up about nationhood, race, the immigrant experience, and gender. Here's An Bui.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm reading from a script, so if I seem distracted, that's probably why. My name is Anh Ha Bui. My pronouns is he, him, they, them. I'm an interdisciplinary artist and curator who was born in Hanoi, Vietnam. I moved to San Francisco at the age of 10, and as of November last year, I'm based in the Houston area. I moved here to be with my family. My work embodies the theme of giving, particularly giving space to unheard voice in two ways. First is how I create and give space for myself through my work, and second is how I build spaces for my community through my curatorial practice. I created my artwork with a desire to understand and express myself, my history, and my identity as a genderqueer Vietnamese immigrant coming into tension with dominant narratives of race, gender, and nationhood. And as somebody who moved many times between America and Vietnam and in between those culture, I've had a lot of difficulties socializing and coping with these changes due to culture shocks and issues associated with being neurodivergent. I grew up really forcing myself to assimilate and internalize a lot of harmful thoughts about myself and just toxic thoughts in general, relating to masculinity or approximation to whiteness and all of those things, and just out of a desire to just fit in. And I found that art was really the only space of refuge where I can privately search and understand myself and express myself truthfully. You can see aspect of that tension and the yearning to be free of that tension present within any and all of my work. For example, What We Found in the Placeless was a series that I started 3 years ago, around the time where I really was starting to understand and embrace my genderqueer identity, and spent a lot of time imagining my body and myself as disconnected or as connected to the cosmos and its phenomena, as a way to be free of social constructs and as a way of imagining myself as something infinite and beyond definition, something complicated. And as I look back at this work, I think growing into something beyond the confine of what I thought I could be is the amazing gift that my work has given me. And just as important has been seeing how other people can resonate with my work and how I was able to speak truth about myself through my work and connect with people and build a community. Which leads me to my work as a curator in the Bay Area, where I contribute to art exhibitions that are accessible to BIPOC and LGBTQ plus communities, and containing radical narratives from those communities. One example is Reorienting the Imaginaries, which is an exhibition and program series at SOMART's Cultural Center, which I co-curated with 4 other curators. The art exhibition centers 11 BIPOC artists whose work revolve around the idea of resistance through the queering of cultural imageries. SOMARTS has always been a community space, and we contributed to that by making our exhibition a comfortable space for our community with fun colors, lighting that are unconventional, a library, a lounging area, basically as far from a stiff white wall gallery as possible. We held a voguing performance, a dinner, a discussion night, a healing workshop, a community marketplace, and a sewing workshop in the space. And the sewing workshop was led by Shirin Tofik as part of her Resist Stitch project. Another example is Kearney Street Workshop's annual Aperture Festival, in which I was one of the volunteer curatorial committee members. And KSW is an art organization dedicated to highlighting cultural works by the Bay Area's Asian and Pacific Islander community. And Aperture is a month-long festival that showcases visual arts, literature, illustration, food, and music and film, organized by and featuring local API community. The theme of the year that I was a part of was Replace, which examined API experience in connection to different concepts of place, space, and belonging, and the like. And and that's it. I would like to thank OCA Greater Houston for allowing me to partake in this festival alongside so many inspiring artists, organizers, and businesses and people. And I have a print up for sale as part of this festival, and all the profit goes toward Oakland's Worker Fund to support food service workers affected by COVID. And lastly, thank you, Ria, Trisha, and Abby for being so accommodating in organizing and putting this together. Yeah.
Wow. And first of all, amazing your artwork. And please, yes, folks, like check out the marketplace where we're going to be auctioning this piece, and contribute to the funds. Yes, we need to definitely get more funds out to service workers, essential workers who've been on the front line, especially during COVID, making sure that we are all safe at home. And also thank you, Anne, for your work in creating spaces in which we are promoting BIPOC artists. We definitely have to go at some point to the Bay Area to check out some of the work that you've curated yourself. Okay, the next person I'm like so freaking excited to bring on. I was like talking to AAPI backstage, like, yo, I'm so excited for this performance. Okay, so the next person, I haven't said this person's name yet, but if you don't know them, you've clearly been sleeping under a rock. And just to let folks know out there, I'm not originally from Houston. I'm not from this great city. I'm from New York, East Coast, Beast Coast. And New York always has beef with West Coast, right? It's always East versus West. But I gotta hand it to this person. When this person came out, I was like, hold up, let me start paying attention to the West Coast. They got someone really dope rising and coming through. Our next performer is Jason Chu. Jason Chu is an LA rapper, poet, activist whose mission is to speak hope and healing in a broken world. As a solo artist and 1/3 of Asian Americans' trap crew Night Market, he blends introspective lyricism with high energy bangers and thoughtfully crafted spoken word poetry. I'm so excited to be bringing you on, Jason Chu.
What's up, everyone? Yeah, it's really lovely to see y'all. I've been watching a lot of the artists this whole night, and this is just so beautiful. Thank y'all, especially OCA Greater Houston. It's such a pleasure and a privilege to be on such an incredible lineup of community and artists and voices. So I got a couple songs for y'all. Hope y'all enjoy them. This first one is called Vibranium. It's a single that dropped just like a month ago, kind of in the middle of the pandemic era. And I hope this speaks to y'all. Yeah. I haven't made it yet, but I still hit every stage like it's the main event. Play a show on Twitch like it was a stadium. Never dumb it down or baby them. Give your itch to stick to every wrinkle in your cranium. Dead tie, that means he titanium. Immigrant mothers, yeah, they tougher than vibranium. Been through struggles, nah, I ain't complaining. Just saying if you want it easy, you probably ain't made for this. No disrespect to the fans. I sketch an outline blueprint of the plans. The lessons that I learned from a boy to a man. The Beatles lied, ain't nobody out there wanna hold your hand. Invest in the community, they'll have your back. Believe in unity, but I'm prepared to scrap. Sending words round curves till my verbs hit your cranium. Rarely on the radio, but active like uranium. I said I'm rarely on the radio, but active, A. Really on the radio. I haven't made it yet, but still it's undebated when I'm in the conversation, or at least the group thread. When they chat about Asian ones out here stacking numbers up, I got a bank account, or at least I'm on the paper route. Maybe some doubt, bet some don't. Seen drought, somehow I float. Open mic 5 minutes, let's go. Open mic 5 minutes, bet I leave that there smoked. Bet I leave that ish smoking. Always on the rise, but I've never been a token. Like the first time I flew over the ocean, how I'm grounded, but still I rise like the poet. Don't need my name in the bright lights. Just wanna be heard when the mic right. They let the cage bird sing, but the clip wing rings louder than the limelight. Louder than the limelight. I said I'm really on the radio, louder than the limelight. Yo, Houston, how y'all doing? If you've enjoyed tonight, if you are enjoying tonight, drop some messages in the chat. Drop some likes on the stream. Thank everybody, all the artists been on this incredible lineup for what they do for the community. Hey. So, yeah, that record, again, that one is called Vibranium. It is really inspired by my family. It's inspired by, like I said, Dad tie, that means we titanium. Immigrant mothers, yeah, they tougher than vibranium. And that's what I really aim to do with my music, just to put on for my people, put on for this beautiful AAPI community that we are part of, and tell our family stories. Hey, Trisha, thank you. So this next one, This one is called Callista. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just honored to be here with y'all tonight. Audrey, I love you too. This next one was inspired by a conversation I had. My boy Sam Ock, he's an Asian American, Korean American hip hop producer from Atlanta, and we were sitting one day over Korean barbecue in Koreatown, LA, and we were talking about hip hop. We were talking about Asian Americans and hip hop, and you know, our place in this culture and the ways we connect. Maria, thank you. And he told me something that stuck with me, and then I wrote this song based on what he said. He said, you know, for Asian Americans, we can't just copy and paste what other cultures, other communities, the way they do hip hop and pursue this art form. For us, we'll know it's real when we're digging into things that are really real for us, that are really tender for us. And tender, I said, not Tinder, although, you know, whatever speaks from your heart. But this record is called New Eyes. It's about our relationship to our bodies and our eyes. You dig what I'm saying? In a country where, the black-white binary, racial binary paradigm is at stake, where often our bodies are erased actively from history, from view. This one's called New Eyes. This is one of my favorites, honestly, so I hope it speaks to you too. Hey. Wherever y'all at, if y'all want to move a little, do a little two-step, do a little wave, hey, hey. New eyes that look at the world in new ways. New eyes make contact, blue, green, and gray. New eyes I realized I never knew. When you realize feelings you trapped inside of you. New eyes that see the respect you earn. New eyes that shape out the lessons you learn. New eyes attract new guys and new games. And tonight those eyes will be filled with new gazes. New eyes that thrill. First minute you saw world through new lashes, no chains involved. New eyes insist you're taken serious. New eyes filled with confidence and trust. New life written with the passage of time. New eyes that gleam with color that won't die. Who knew I'd see such beauty and love? Eyes that combine perfection and flaws, saying
I may not be what you think, a standard beauty,
hey.
But I love my face, my eyes, and body.
Let me tell you a story about those eyes. Those eyes were once made middle school jokes. Those eyes are stories of our kinfolk. Those eyes are dark but glow in sunlight. Our people been hurt but still we gon' fight. Those eyes contain 5,000 years of pride. Those eyes saw dying stars in old skies. Those eyes are shy but those eyes are kind. Those eyes are so wise, your eyes look like mine. Those eyes speak, turning the other cheek. Eyes turned down so they couldn't see you weep. They teased you because your eyes are too thin. Synonymous with cheap or prostitute skin. Those eyes are me, eyes are family. Eyes are ID of your identity. Your eyes are not weak, your eyes are not wrong. Your eyes are holy, your eyes are from God. Saying
I may not be what you think,
hey.
a standard beauty,
No.
but I love my face, my eyes, and body.
So I was talking to my sister, and I asked her, what's the price of confidence? What it costs to be happy in your own skin? Not my place to question, but do you see a stranger when the mirror is reflecting? You said I'd never understand pressure from magazine covers, Asian mothers and men. Nope, whether tan, bleached or blonde, we remix our colors like we cover pop songs in a bottle. How I battle all the barriers, right? Some drink, some color their hair every night. Some try to act out, some try to act white. Found music, but I've never been the stereotype. New eyes break old lies. New skin needs new wine. New highs and new vibes come through with new life, second coming like Christ. You told me that therapy taught you so much about our parents. We got a chance to reset the past through us. A generation bring the future to the past and sing. I may not be what you think, you're standard beauty, but I love my face, my eyes, and body. I may not be what you think, the standard beauty, but I love my face, my eyes, and body. If y'all love if y'all love yourselves first and foremost, because how can we learn to love if we don't know how to love ourselves? You dig what I'm saying? If y'all love yourselves, put something in chat. Share that love around you, you know what I'm saying? If y'all love the community, put that in chat. Share it with those around you, you know what I'm saying? It is a huge honor. I love Houston. I love H-Town. You dig what I'm saying? I am based in Los Angeles. But you know what I'm saying? I really see our home as Asian America, this thing that was created by us for all. You dig what I'm saying? How Asian America is something that was created in 1969 by Yuji Ichioka and Emma G in order for AAPI folks to gather together, to band together, to help black and brown folks, queer folks, native folks, and of course, our own Asian American elders and youth to rise up together, to support, to build, to be in solidarity, right? So I do just want to real quick shout out postthepeach.org. Y'all know right now in Atlanta, in Georgia, there's a very, very crucial runoff election. I don't know if y'all, again, shout outs to Houston, shout outs to the great state of Texas. If y'all have friends, if y'all have family members, if y'all know people who live in Georgia, please, please tell them to go to postthepeach.org. It's super important right now. Asian American voter turnout is a crucial, crucial issue in this divisive election that really will dictate the future of our Senate, of our Congress, and of our nation. So please check that out. I got one last one for you. This one is this one's about Asian America, and this one's called Honor. Shout out to Sandra O. Let's go. From gold skin to cinnamon green cards and citizens, airless university scholarships and immigrants, dark hair and irises young without college and whatever we playing at, we be killing it. Humble but dominant, grew up in acrobat, flip from laundromat to graduate to diplomat, called Chinamen by the ignorant, the wise they call them gentlemen. Y'all know what time it is. I love my people, how we haggle at the markets, take a family vacation to the outlets. Eating out is not a question if we gonna split or if anyone takes the last portion. No, I love the smell of salt and sweet, gold in the air like the sun off the beach. I love the stories that make it so unique. You can copy the food, but the soul is out of reach. It's an honor. Yeah. Yeah. White and blue collar, they became martyrs. Honor to all the mothers and fathers and daughters, sons of back kitchens, the liquor stores and corners, dollar cabs, massage parlors and fruit farmers. Grew up with no role models and no stories. Learn to use tongues and brains and do water. War they called on us and left us war torn. It's no surprise we cut borders but not corners. And they treat my father like he's still a tourist, but they got no problem buying Sony or a Taurus. Hypocrites. I'm learning to ignore them cause the obstacles they gave us only taught us how to flourish. Artesia, the Tyson's corner, the streets of Flushing, Plano. Yeah, my people's gorgeous, sky is the limit. Bruce broke the boards, I know no bamboo could ever hold us underwater. It's an honor. Yeah, hey, let's go. It's an honor just to be Asian, yeah. It's an honor just to be Asian, yeah. It's an honor just to be Asian. It's an honor just to be Asian. Hey. Thank you, OCA Houston. I know we got a Q&A. I know we got more coming up. Thank you again. My name is Jason Chu. It's a privilege. It's a pleasure. It's a blessing. I love y'all. Please remember, postthepeach.org. Help push Asian American voter turnout in the Georgia Senate elections. Other than that, thank you so much, OCA, Starry Nite Festival, H-Town down. Let's go.
Yo, Jason, you got me that hype. Thank you.
Good.
Jason Chu, I love you. Y'all, not only do we have amazing artists and performers, we also got merchandise. If you haven't checked out our website, please go to the vendors. Hold up, let me check out. Let me pull this t-shirt right here. You see this? Light Crew.
That's sick. That's sick. Dang, that's amazing that you still got that. I got a couple of those left on the website. That's amazing. Wow. I feel like part of the family.
Real quick, Jason, you said this earlier. Audrey doesn't know I'm about to say this right now, but she said, I love you there. And then you said, I love you too, Audrey. And she missed it. So could you say like one more time so we can get it on video?
Oh, of course. Yo, I love you too, Audrey. You amazing. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Lots
Yo,
of
for
love.
that night. Thank you. Please, audience members, stay for the live Q&A later. We're gonna hear more from Jason. Talk about politics, music, poetry, and how to blend all that together. So thank you. We're gonna see you soon.
All right. So that concludes our lineup for Giving Space for Unheard Voices. Just real quick, I know y'all love Jason too, but also just to give a quick shout out and plug all the amazing performers and artists that we've had so far. Make sure to go onto our website because we had other musicians as well, and they're just all so good. So please stay tuned because we do have the chance to know more about them, get to spend some more time with them. I know Audrey wants to spend some more time with them later in our live Q&A session. But first, we're going to feature some messages from our community and community partners.
Hi, my name is Marla Lopez and I use she, they pronouns. I'm the organizer and interim coordinator for Mi Familia Vota in Houston. Mi Familia Vota is a national organization. We have offices here in Texas, in Dallas, and in Houston. And this past month, actually in November, we've been working on an environmental justice and defense project at the congressional level. Specifically in Houston, we actually just met with two Congress members, Representative Sylvia Garcia and Representative Lizzie Fletcher. But among other things that we're doing this December, we have our youth workshop, which is monthly. And going forward into 2021, we are starting to plan and organize more and more about the 87th Ledge and what that'll mean for our, leadership programming and our advocacy programming. But aside that, I think that some of these projects, especially in light of 2020 and COVID, a lot of these projects, I think at their core, embody giving, because I think essentially, especially for young people of color in Houston and in Dallas and across Texas, we aren't given a chance. I think that sometimes we are, especially, asked to remain silent or accommodate to the structures that be. And I think through all these programs, we kind of, tap into that and open up those spaces for people to really just be vulnerable and ask questions. And, I find a lot of times that people have these questions and interests, but they don't really know, where's the appropriate space that they can ask those questions or pursue, those interests safely or comfortably, really, because sometimes it doesn't feel like we're welcome, or it doesn't feel like our opinions are valued, our concerns are valued. And in these projects, right, whether it's the workshops, whether it's lobbying your Congress member, we do our very best, I think, to give those chances and those opportunities, those spaces, right, to be validated and to be heard, and really to even get those skills and hard experience of what it's like. And that way folks in the future, our young leaders, can turn around and do the same. That's why I'm here, actually, because somebody, when I was in college and even before when I was in high school, somebody gave me a chance. Somebody gave me their ear, they gave me their shoulder, their friendship. And yeah, they gave me and my allies a chance. They gave us an opportunity to, ask those questions and engage, vulnerably, right? Because we don't know everything, especially as young people, and that's fine. But that's where it's really important that we have, spaces that give us, the comfort and the welcome and the validation, really, to pursue those questions and those interests. So I think that's how we really embody giving. And like I said, I've seen a lot of, young folks really blossom through these types of programs, from some of the quietest or the shyest folks, right? I've seen how they just go 0 to 100 very, very fast. And I'm just very, very happy and fortunate that our team gets to be part of that, alongside OCA and all of the many other amazing organizations that are here and part of this program. So lastly, I did want to say thank you to the OCA team, I did specifically want to shout out Miss Audrey, Abby, Colleen, and Wynn. They are all OCA fellows or interns, and y'all have just been great these past, few months that we've gotten the chance to work together, especially for the workshop. I'm very excited to be, continuing to work with y'all.
Hello everyone, my name is Sherman Young. I'm a second generation Asian American with roots and cultural ties to Hong Kong. I was born and raised here in Houston, Texas. My culinary background is in sushi and Japanese cuisine. I'm the owner of Tobio Sushi and Bar in Katy. My role here is more so on the business end and also leading the team with my vision and ideas. I'm really passionate about my culture and also the restaurant industry in itself. So I do my best to try to give back whenever I can. That means participating in a lot of events such as Houston Restaurant Weeks, No Kid Hungry, even OCA's Big Bow Challenge. And also I think the best way, for me in my position to give back to the community is facilitating growth here at the restaurant. Because I've been trained by so many good chefs and cooks, and that taught me so much, and I wouldn't be here without them. So I think it's my duty, and I think it would be selfish for me not to try to pass on my knowledge. And of course, I don't know everything. I still consider myself new to this industry. So the best thing I can do is really facilitate growth. So if one of my cooks wants to become like a pastry chef or a sushi chef, well, it means I can do whatever I can to support them. At this time, I want to showcase something from my restaurant. I'm a really simple guy, so I just really like nigiri. So on the very left is madai, which is Japanese sea bream. Next is Tasmanian ocean trout, which is similar to salmon. Then itayori, which is a threadfin bream. And lastly, chutoro, which is medium fatty tuna. That's pretty much it. I just want to thank everyone for the support. Special shout out to the industry people who have helped shape me, mold me. Wouldn't be here without y'all. Willett Fung, Sam Chang, all my Uchi boys. Love y'all. Thanks so much.
Hold up. That looked delicious. I already ate, but now I'm hungry again. And shout out to my Hong Kong family. Yes, we out here making food. That's awesome. Y'all, before we get into this Q&A panel, please check out our website. Again, everything that we've done this week is already up on our website. Everything that is going to be done is also going to be on our website. We also have a lot of promotions going on. If you click the vendors page, we have a lot of discounts. Especially for like boba right now, some local vendors, check out the local shops here. And like I mentioned also earlier, Jason also has a promo and discount for us, so check it all out. So for your Q&A panel today, it's going to be led by not us, but our amazing facilitator, Divesh. I'm so excited to welcome him into the space. I've had the pleasure of working with him for the last few months. He's one of our amazing college youth that I get to work with on a day-to-day basis. He's originally from Nepal. Divesh was born in Bergen, Norway, and has lived in a total of 6 countries in 3 continents. So my man is well-traveled. This exposure to people from all around the world has made him more empathetic to the pressing global and cultural issues of our time. He's currently studying at Stanford University, hoping to leverage technology to solve social and environmental issues. Divesh, welcome.
Hello, everybody. So thank you for the wonderful introduction, Audrey. So we'll get back to our most recent performer, Jason. So Jason has shared poetry at the Obama White House, been featured in the Chinese American Museum, and tours extensively. His music has been heard on Warrior and Wu Assassins. Jason has spoken on Asian American identity and hip hop culture on the BBC, NBC, and Huffington Post Live, as well as UPenn, DragonCon, Stanford, NYU, Yale, and beyond. Follow him everywhere at Jason Chu Music and at www.jasonchumusic.com. Callista Ogburn is a Korean and Vietnamese American college student at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. She has studied at international high schools overseas, which has given her a global perspective. She reaches her readers by sharing her feelings and experiences through poetry. She has published 2 books on Amazon and has been featured in HopeWorks, Charm City Stories, and much more. Antonius Bowie is a spontaneous shapeshifter and polydisciplinary artist with roots all over the USA. They proudly identify as queer, non-binary Vietnamese American Slasian. Born and raised in Bronx, Antonius eventually moved to Houston before pursuing a BFA at the Maryland Institute College of Art, and they have exhibited at various institutional, private, public, and underground venues, including the Vietnamese Veterans Memorial, Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery, and many, many other places. And then, so we also have, and then we also have Renaya. Sorry, 1 second here. I think I'm missing something. Okay, so, whoops. Stand by, I'm having some technical difficulties here. So Renaya is a master businesswoman and artist with several various interests in many different talent, and she has a vast experience helping people with marketing and, very accomplished all around. And so she has a lot of experience in her journey of really experiencing her talents and really helping others. So I guess my first question that I really want to get out there is I really love this festival because it puts a spotlight on our voices, and I think so many people are missing out. I'd really love to see all of your voices on a bigger stage. So I was wondering how you guys are planning on continuing your work, and if it's a goal for you, how you're planning on growing your audience. So I guess I'll start with Jason, and we can move around from there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, I've just always really want to play the Starry Nite Arts Fest. So I feel like this is probably the career height. After this, it's all down here. It's all downhill from here, baby. I love this. I love community. I grew up in Delaware. So I was Chinese American in Delaware, and to be part of these communities, all of these experiences, exactly like the theme of tonight, unheard voices. I love somebody said, it's not that we don't have voices, it's that certain people don't want to hear those voices. And I think as long as my voice is hitting people who need it, and as long as I'm listening, really, you asked how are we going to continue growing our careers? I want to keep listening. I want to keep listening to what the people need. You know what I'm saying? If the people just want some fire joints, I got that for y'all. If the people want, I've been talking a lot this year about solidarity and intersectionality between AAPI as POC communities, going back to our history in the Third World Liberation Front. So, whatever I got to give to the community, that's how I don't just want me to grow. I want us to grow, you dig? So that's what it is for me.
Yeah, and I guess next we can move to Callista. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
I love the way you put things, Jason. I completely 100% agree with that. I do want to make a point that I am a senior at UMBC, and with the pandemic, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I am a public health major with a minor in Asian studies. And so as many other college students, I almost feel kind of lost right now. I don't know what I'm going to do with my career or what's going to happen. So if you want to hire me, I'm here. But jokes aside, I hope to really grow my passion with poetry and grow my friendship with poetry. Even though I don't particularly see a career in poetry, I just love having it as my best friend, and I love talking about it and being part of this festival. I also agree with Jason, because I feel like this is my peak. I really feel like it can't get better than this. This is amazing. but also being an advocate and ally and listening to many different communities and understanding the intersectionalities of people's identities is also really important as well, especially through poetry. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I definitely felt you on that college student part, even though I'm just starting. Yeah, I guess I want to hear from Antonius as well about,
Yeah, amen to what you both said. I'm gonna help you find a job. I will. Let me ask my networks. And I think what you said about COVID, this time has really allowed all of us to take inventory of our lives, to reflect on what success really is, especially outside the realms of capitalism. And I think what Jason was saying about building community, thanking our mentors and learning ways to be mentors ourselves is what I consider success right now. Just uplifting voices within our communities, other POC communities, and really challenging the very singular capitalistic idea of success. That's what I am keeping my eyes on during this time, and learning to prioritize time and space to create revolutionary artwork that is prophetic, that is engaging, and really allows us to dream in new ways, especially as we enter the new year.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear, and I really appreciate that you're offering your network, and that's a great way that everyone can uplift each other within our community. Then, as well, I'd love to hear your perspective, Renaya, on how you plan to further your voice.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you guys. We're amazing. All of you. Antonius, I identify with every part of who you are. Love all of it. So considering myself very much multifaceted, I think one of the most exciting things about my journey has been that I've been able to explore so many different facets, as it implies, of my talents and my gifts and my abilities. And sometimes in going through that process, I hadn't necessarily been completely in tune with all of it. It's just been more of a just going and going. And it's been this year that has been very reflective for me in regards to these talents and these gifts, and realizing that there is more opportunity, but more need for my voice, especially as it relates to the woman's plight and love and life. And so I hope to be able to further expand my platform when it comes to creative expression. And I'm able to do this in every facet of what I offer. So even in fitness, empowering women to transform their lives and their bodies and their mind and their spirit through music, helping them understand stories that they maybe haven't been able to articulate. And hopefully here in the future, using apparel and things like that to also communicate that voice. So that's what I'm hoping to be able to do come this new year, and expanding my platform through creative expression.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And yeah, I apologize that I stumbled on your intro. For some reason, it wasn't in
I had
front of me.
technical
So,
difficulties too.
right. So, the next question that I wanted to ask, and anyone can really jump in here, is a lot of based on how you feel about the question. So a lot of times, we as minorities can experience self-doubt and imposter syndrome. How can we develop confidence in our voices and our work, especially in majority white spaces like America?
Well, I think the first and foremost, is to identify with like-minded people. The biggest challenge is when you are, and you know that you're unique, and you know that you have something incredibly special to offer, but you're in the realms of people who are of traditional mindsets, or who are don't challenge the status quo and so forth. You do find yourself questioning yourself. So that's probably the biggest thing, is finding communities like this and creating these platforms that allow your voice to be aligned with others that are very much like-minded.
Agreed. And I think something that really helps me whenever I enter a predominantly white space is the Maya Angelou quote, "I come as one, but I stand as 10,000." And I constantly think about how our ancestors have paved the way for us to be here. And similarly, what you just said, like each of us are so divinely unique. And we carry talents that no one else before us could have brought in this day and age. And so continue being the badass that you are. And I'm certain that like white men don't feel these things. So we shouldn't have to waste our time and energy feeling unnecessary doubt and shame and anxiety. Just let it go because it's not serving anyone. Just own yourself.
Yeah, I find just I 100% agree with Renaya and Antonius, and practically I would say failing a lot is a great antidote to fear. You dig what I'm saying? Because when you fail, you realize it's not that bad, right? Like I've done way more things that have failed than that have been successful. But like, failure is what leads to the success, right? But I think the thing is, failing is 1000% positive. Repeating the same mistakes is where we really get like sidetracked. You dig what I'm saying? So I think for me, failing and then analyzing and learning and figuring out and making sure not to repeat the same mistakes has been really helpful, because then, when I move into a context, when I do a streaming concert, I'm like, oh, I remember, 2 years ago I did one like this and my mic messed up and I didn't know what to do. So this time I'm going to make sure to secure that and make sure to, sound check ahead of time. So the more we fail, the more ammunition we have the next time we come into a similar scenario.
I agreed with what everyone said, and I love all the different pieces of advice and tips that you all gave and personal anecdotes. I would have to say, even just poetry related and being a student, I feel like an imposter like all the time. And I always feel like I'm just a failure, like what you said. And I just don't believe that my poetry is, and I just feel like every time I write a new poem, that it's not gonna get any better than that. And I'm the only one who really likes it. And it's weird. It's a weird feeling and I hate it. And at this point, I just realized, okay, I'm just going to write a poem and it's just going to be for me. And I'm not going to write it for anyone else. And it took me a long time to get there. And I think even as a student, I feel like my success or my grades, I feel like sometimes I don't deserve them. And sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to get that grade for myself. I'm going to do this poem for myself. And putting that confidence in myself and that self-compassion is so important. And it's sometimes hard to master, but it's the process that counts.
If I may piggyback on that, Callista, I remember I was on LinkedIn one day and there was this quote that came across, and I can't remember how it came about, but it was it was actually like a writing class, and it talked about how what you should do is write and put it out. Don't second guess it. Don't think about it. And what I find is that is probably the most powerful way to find your unique voice and to take ownership of it. Because what happens is when we overthink it, we're diluting the authenticity of it. And then we've second guessed it so many times, right? So I believe that it was funny because I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God, this was awful, the grammar here and that, but it is really powerful to be able to say, I'm writing this, not thinking anything else about it, and I'm letting it go. And I think that's the most unique and authentic voice that you can put out. Yeah. And it also gives you confidence.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. I think I had a experience myself where like so I produced music a little bit, and one of my friends, he started like singing and making an album, and he sent me a music clip, and like literally I think like I stumbled upon like some advice. Like I think like it just clicked in me that he should just release it, and and like that's, if you never start, you're never going to go anywhere. And I think like you should continuously do that. So I think that's something that I've begun to really realize. So yeah. I guess the next question that I wanted to ask is relating to technology. Like, how has technology changed or developed your career, and how can we use it as a tool to give space to unheard voices? And yeah.
Word. So, obviously this year, usually I really I do a lot of college touring. I do a lot of like city touring. This year, obviously, very different. It was tough, actually. In March, my group Night Market, we had a 9-city tour booked for our EP release. And then 2 weeks later, like everything shut down, and we're like, we gotta stay safe. We gotta make sure our audience is safe. So we just didn't do it. But this has actually been my best year of booking and touring and being in front of audiences. I've had the most, not that reach is the most important, but I've actually reached more audience members this year than any year before. And it's because we pivoted really quickly. We realized this is not going to end anytime soon. So let's learn how to do it really well online. My band and I, we have actually so my 2 roommates are my band, and we set up in our living room like an AV setup. So we have lights, we have music instruments, and we've been doing concerts from our home. My roommate, he's a touring guitarist for this artist, Andy Grammer, and he and some of his buddies have been playing shows on Reddit. Like every Thursday at noon, they're live on Reddit, which I did not even think was a music discovery spot. But they've been getting tens of thousands of viewers tuning in. And I do think that, technology, as much as we very clearly see it being used to divide and spread misinformation, when we can sort of reappropriate that power into our hands, oftentimes we're not going to own these platforms, but when we can use them for our goals, it actually really can support marginalized and unheard voices. So I think being very open to it, and Antonius, I've been thinking a lot about you calling yourself a shapeshifter. I think it's so important, right, to know how to fit the needs of the moment rather than going, oh, I've got this, I want to be this dope touring rapper, so that means that I want to play in front of thousands of people in live clubs. And we gotta learn to do what our ancestors did, which is change and contort to the needs of the moment.
Yes, Reddit is the new club. Whoever knew, right? But it's so true. Social media technology has really allowed marginalized voices to be their own entrepreneurs, their own bosses. I think a lot about how Instagram has exposed me to so many phenomenal drag artists, sex workers, activists, and we're able to use it as a tool to really network, to collaborate, to build community. At the same time, I'm the biggest advocate for taking a break from social media and really centering oneself outside the needs for likes, followers, etc. So I myself take month-long breaks away from technology in order to really just focus on myself, my artwork, and understand that regardless of how the audience reacts to my work, it should still be made. So yeah, I think I go back and forth with technology. The pros and cons, they're all there.
Me personally, first and foremost, this space and using the space for this in particular, technology is amazing, and allowing this opportunity even occur. But one thing that I often say about my platform, whatever it is that I do, I consider myself, I'm very much human driven, and it's all about humanity first and foremost. So I find that when you're in physical spaces, you're gravitating towards communities that are like you, right? And while that's amazing and beautiful, there's somehow there is missed opportunity for other layers and opportunities to connect with people, other humans who are just like you and have common interests. And I think that's what technology and these platforms really offer. Once you open up the space, then, from whatever and spectrum or side of the tracks you come from, you'll find that, okay, we're all artists and we all have this similar story, and that's what brings us together. So I think the technology really helps bring that those opportunities. Whereas again, I remember when I first started, I was very much advocate for the black and brown, but particularly, and for my community. And it wasn't until, I always tell Trish, but it wasn't until I started my company and I had this beautiful rainbow of amazing, talented people. And it made me think twice about really centralizing myself in that space. So the idea of technology opening up the platform to connect with so many amazing people from all different backgrounds is what I love most. I'm not tech savvy, so I don't do so well with it, but I think it's amazing. So
I just, sorry. I just wanted to say a quick little thing. I agree with everyone what you said about how technology can be a little bit toxic, but then also how it can be really helpful for a community, which is amazing. But most importantly, I think it's a great way to put yourself out there if you're first starting. I think you can just quickly post something of yours that you're passionate about, and maybe lots of people might see it, and it can start a trend, and it can start people realizing, and like the support that people can give to you is super important as well. And that's what I love about technology is the support, but also knowing when to take a step back. I just want to put that little snippet in there.
Yeah, for sure. And finding that balance is so important for those of us who use it often. So I guess I'd like to see the audience start to get involved, maybe in some question asking. So I'll ask some questions one-on-one to some of the panelists, and maybe the audience can generate some questions too. So Jason, I wanted to ask, hip hop is an art form that has historically been used to give a voice to the unheard, like classic examples like Public Enemy's Fight the Power, NWA, Tupac. What are some of the ways that the Asian American hip hop scene continues to honor and build on these traditions?
Yeah, I think one really dope, one really positive thing that I've seen, especially in about the last 6 months, is a lot of my peers have been very vocal about AAPI, Asian American and Pacific Islanders' role as POC. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's so crucial that hip hop is built on heritage and tradition. And for us, again, the solution isn't just copying and pasting what Black, Brown, and Native communities have done, but really doing the work in our communities to understand, do you know what happened in 1965? Do you know what happened in 1885? Do you know why the model minority myth came about in the mid-1970s? Do you know that Charles Lee being unjustly imprisoned and Vincent Chin being murdered were the catalyst for the Asian American movement in the 1980s. You know what I'm saying? So I look to my OGs like Chops and the Mountain Brothers. I look at Yellow Pearl with Nobuko. I look at MC Jin, like people who have been sort of carrying that torch to inform my Asian American hip hop, just as much as obviously I also learn from and have been brought into the community and the culture through Black friends, through brown friends who've invited me into their spaces. So I think for us to do it, we got to understand, not just where the fruit comes from, but where the roots of the tree lie. And that's when it will become, that's when it goes beyond appropriation or appreciation and it goes into participation. Is when we really bring ourselves to the table and we can say, all right, this is my history, this is my heritage, exactly like Antonius was saying. We're bringing, tens of thousands with us. And do we know how to employ the voices and the histories of that? Or we just hear because we saw Quest Crew dance on ABCD and we were like, oh, it looks fly. I want to move like that. If you want to move like that, you got to learn to live like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like I got a history lesson in that answer. So that's amazing to hear. So a question from Trisha in the audience is, for all of you guys, is how have you been taking care of yourself this year? So I'll start with Antonius. We can move around.
I just want to thank Jason for always bringing up Afro-Asian history, the legacy of solidarity amongst Black and Asian folks. I myself have been taking care of myself by reading up on this history. I just read up about Fred Ho, who is a phenomenal jazz artist who really incorporates Afro-Asian themes within his work, and reading the work of Grace Lee Boggs, Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown has been allowing me to dream in different ways. And I think one of the most important ways I've been taking care of myself is just checking in with my community members, especially my LGBTQIA+ community, and learning to cook for one another. It's so beautiful to spend time in the kitchen and to put work into art that nourishes the soul. And so I love cooking. I'm really bad at it, but I'm getting better.
Awesome. Yeah, I really love cooking too. I've really been getting into it, and especially with a lot more time this kind of quarantine period. So, how about Callista? How have you been taking care of yourself this year?
I would say because of the pandemic, I've really learned what I need and what I want. And recently my mental health has been struggling throughout the pandemic, as many of my friends have told me as well from their experiences. I think most importantly, I try not to do self-care things that just provide instant gratification. Like, I agree, taking a bubble bath is so helpful and I love bubble baths, but sometimes it's just an instant thing and it doesn't really provide a lot of self-reflection that I need and I feel that I need. So I take more time journaling, and when I journal or write poetry, I write it in a way that I don't, that I'm not writing it for other people. I'm writing it for myself and checking in with my mental health, saying like, what do I need right now? And do I need some food? Do I need to hydrate? Do I need to go for a walk? And I think that's really, really important to do self-reflection during this difficult time. So that way you're checking in with yourself and almost having a conversation. I feel like I've talked to myself more than any other years that I've been alive. So I'm like my best friend now. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear that you're employing new ways and experiencing new experiences to help yourself. How about you, Renaya? What are you doing this year?
I'm actually gonna just copy everything Callista said because it's been exactly that for me. This year has been incredibly reflective for me, mostly so that I can decide what it is that I want and what I want to do. And again, and just being multifaceted, and I literally go super fast and never really slow down and take a pause to really think about what my needs are. So that's exactly what this year has been for me, and it's been no bubble baths or anything like that. It's just been lots of quiet time, lots of quiet time to get those answers. So that's been how I've taken care of myself.
Sounds great. And what about you, Jason?
What about? I've been buying a lot of clothes online. Usually vintage, so it's better for the environment. Honestly, like I said, this year's actually turned out to be a surprisingly good year. I've also been, part of it is also I'm an extrovert, generally speaking, but I've really been getting in touch with sort of my more introverted nature, getting more space to just, exactly like Renai and Callista were saying, just be alone with myself. Turns out, like, I really like sleeping. So I've been sleeping a lot. Maybe that's the answer. I've been buying clothes online and sleeping. It works.
Great. So I guess I'll, unfortunately we have to wrap up soon. I would really love to spend more time with you guys. This is an amazing group. I think I'll let you all have a chance to really share where the audience can reach you at, your handles, your website, whatever. And I'll start off with Renaya, and I'll go ahead.
All right. So on Instagram, you can find me at Renaya K. You can also find me at the coach_row. The coach_row, and yeah, they're all here. And Facebook, Coach Renaya. So I'm a little bit all over. And if you want to hear any of my music, you can find me on SoundCloud at Renaya-K.
Yeah, I'll go with Antonius next.
Howdy, everyone. I am BUI Monster on Instagram, Buoy Monster. and antoniusbui.com. And while you're on Instagram, go find other Salesian artists to follow, support, share their work, maybe buy a print or an object for the holidays. But continue supporting unheard voices, marginalized communities, and do your thing.
So next I'll go with Jason.
Yeah. So all my social media is at Jason CHU, Jason Chu Music, jasonchumusic.com, everywhere. I have a new single dropping next Tuesday. It's called Splash. It's honestly my favorite music I've ever made, which, it's kind of nice to continue making good music, I think. So check out Splash on Spotify. I'm streaming on all streaming services, and also my merch store at jasonchumusic.com, my Bandcamp merch store. I'm doing a 15% off code special for OCA. So if you enter holidays, DAZE, HOLIDAZE at checkout on my site, you'll get a little 15% off, and I'll toss something extra in there for you too. Thank you, everyone.
And then Callista.
Yes. Hello, everyone. You can find me on Instagram at Callista_Ogburn. And you can also find my website at www.callista-ogburn.com. I just want to say that please feel free to reach out. We can have a conversation either about poetry or nothing. You can also purchase my book on Amazon, which is right there, called This Is It. I also have another book called A Splash of Yellow. And I'm currently working on my third book for Amazon. And for now, I think it's going to be about healing within myself from the racism that's happened during the pandemic, heartbreak, losing a loved one, which I know lots have been dealing with during this pandemic as well. But yeah, start a conversation. Let's talk. Let's become best friends. I need more friends.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure all of us could definitely use more conversation during this time. So yeah, I think that wraps it up. Thank you all for an amazing conversation. And yeah. Great. So let me just check if our next panelists are ready. I'll wait for the cue. Okay, so we are good to go. So I'll start with Joshua. Joshua Nguyen is a Vietnamese American writer, a collegiate national poetry slam champion, and a native Houstonian. He is the author of the chapbook American Lookback for My Mother, published by Bull City Press, and has received fellowships from Kundiman, Sundress Academy for the Arts, and the Vermont Studio Center. He has been published in the Offing, Wildness, American Poetry Review, and several other publications. And he has also been featured on the VS podcast and Tracy K. Smith's The Slowdown. He is a bubble tea connoisseur and works in a kitchen. He's also a PhD student at the University of Mississippi, where he also received his MFA.
Thanks for having me.
And next we'll go have An Bui, who is a visual artist and curator, is currently based in Houston. Born in Hanoi, Vietnam, and traveling to the United States at the age of 10, An uses art to investigate his body, experiences, and desires as he falls in tension with dominant cultural conception of nationhood, race, and gender. An received his MA in Museum Studies with a focus on curation and education in 2017, and his BA in Studio Arts in 2014 from San Francisco State University. Between 2018 and 2019, he was a curatorial resident at Soma Arts, a Root Division curatorial committee member, and a Kearney Street Workshops APA Tour 2018 Festival curatorial committee member. Vikash Ravi is a licensed master social worker employed as a counselor at Daya, a Houston nonprofit specializing in empowering South Asian survivors of domestic and sexual violence through culturally specific services. Additionally, Vikash is an active student of hip-hop dance with 7 years of experience on multiple teams, including Texas A&M Philsa Modern, Freestyle Underground Street Dancers, Fade to Black Dance Ensemble, and So Real. Vikash is deeply invested in enriching a Gestalt understanding of the world and uses various outlets, including social work and dance, to inform this lens. Unfortunately, we are not able to have our fourth panelist, so we will continue going. I think my first question, as a general question for all the panelists, within the Asian American community, sometimes it feels like pursuing art as a career is a step into uncharted territory. Do you have any advice for younger generations who might be interested in channeling their voice through art? Yeah, and I guess I'll call on Joshua.
Nice. You're welcome, y'all. I think for me, I think I came from an environment that was like kind of indifferent to my my foray into poetry and to being a writer. So I think that you have to find a way to realize that, like, if art is something you want to do, then you may have to come to the face the fact that, like, there will be people who will be indifferent to it or won't support you, which is sad. It definitely is sad, but I think once you really put yourself into your work, you learn to do it for yourself. I think that's what Calista was saying in the other panel, right? So, like, once you learn to do the work for yourself, for your own enjoyment, for your own fulfillment, it's easier to get past, like, the sad hump. And also just, like, watching other, like, for me, reading other Asian American writers was really influential. And I grew up watching a lot of spoken word Asian American, like, writers on stage. So I was lucky enough to, like, be, like, hit with that early on. And so yeah, just, like, trying to find, like, the different, like, pockets of art you want to be in your community is good too.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Does anyone want to add on to Joshua's answer?
Yeah, I love what you said, because so it's a twofold thing. I mean, for me specifically, one of the things, especially dance and choreo wise, is hip hop especially, is there isn't a lot of, at least from what I've been exposed to, a lot of brown faces or Indian faces that I looked up to or could see even in the hip hop sphere. And so one of the things that really I think encouraged me was, even with all of the obstacles, with the, I think as Josh was referencing, this idea of collective indifference from, sometimes family members, sometimes people that don't really encourage it beyond maybe a hobby, right? When it's a passion, it's just this fire that sticks with you and it stays there, and you just sometimes you just can't help but do it. And one of the things that I think really helps is sometimes initially you might not have any support, and that's a very real thing for a lot of people. But as soon as you put your foot in the door, as soon as you, like, just step in, attend an event, look up a writer, go to a studio and take a class, and then have a conversation with the teacher, have a conversation with somebody next to you, and all of a sudden your support system has just increased a little bit by one person. And then now you don't have to channel and do all of the work of you trying to hold the emotional weight of your own art and expressing it by yourself. You can balance it with the support system, and maybe that requires redefining your support system a tiny bit to incorporate people that are a little bit more inclusive about art as a career, because it definitely feels like it, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only Indian American that has a passion for hip hop, choreo, and dance, right? And it's preposterous to think that, but we've all been there, I'm sure. And it's just a matter of putting your foot in the door and finding it. And so it's an initial leap of faith. And so I would just encourage, just take the initial leap of faith and see what happens.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned about like relying on other people, because sometimes being in that kind of environment reinforces, like, an individualism that might be unhealthy for sustaining our work. So I think that that's definitely something important you touched on. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. And I generally do find art communities like this one in
like we're incredibly welcoming and inclusive and open to new ideas. I always feel that we as artists who are creating expressions and challenging dominant belief about our identity or how an identity should be, because of that, we're always kind of open to, understanding new voices and listening to new voices. I don't know where I would be without art, because it has allowed me to speak for myself. And also, I found so many people just through art. I found my amazing partner. We went to the same art programs, and we're all my friends group are also from the art. So I think if you do go into the art, just trust that it is generally a very welcoming environment, particularly within community-based artwork, right?
That's a really great and encouraging message to hear. I'm sure our audience finds comfort in those words. I wanted to ask you, you're an artist of many talents with experience in many mediums. I guess I was wondering, do you have a favorite art form that makes you feel particularly empowered to share your voice?
No, I think it all just depends on what my intentions are when I create the work. I started with the paintings because I just had these images in my head of how I want to feel like limitless and outside of societal constraints. And painting, having like so many colors and being able to create these large work helped me realize that. But recently I've done more music and performance-based work because I wanted to go outside of my comfort zone. And the paintings was where I started, where there's this element of abstraction and like metaphors, but now I'm kind of putting myself inside my work, like as a performer. The music video that I made, it was my first time expressing my gender identity through my fashion in Vietnam, where I'm from. And so it was just really about the tension I have within that location, and thinking a lot about how comfortable I am, in what space I feel comfortable, and like, do I feel safe, and which one of my family and friends there I would ask to support me, or would I be okay showing the work? And through that, I also feel a lot of empowerment. But it depends on how you feel and what you want to do as well.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah, and I remember seeing the video on your website, and it was really ethereal. I wanted to ask Joshua, like, you come from an extensive background in performance poetry, and these oral poetry spaces are designed for people to become more comfortable with their voice. What are some of the lessons that oral poetry can teach society about listening to one another and encouraging vulnerability?
I think when we learn about poetry in like high school or middle school, we always learn that it's a hard thing to like decipher and unpack and analyze, which I think is like a barrier for a lot of folks. But I think any poem can be an oral poem. Any poem can be read out loud. I think people forget the power of reading a poem out loud. There's a joy in that, beyond just like trying to like break it down for like a worksheet. Like, there's a joy in reading things out loud, right? That's why like we grew up with like story time. In particular with like spoken word spaces, which I grew up in Houston. They're very bohemian, right? It's very cathartic. You have a bunch of people, usually from underrepresented groups, coming together to craft their thoughts and feelings very raw on a stage, right? A lot of times people go up on stage and it could be the first time performing, or it could just be like a very honest list of something that they're feeling. So in those like spoken word communities, we learn to like trust each other, and we learn to listen to each other's like voices and our own like our own issues we feel with our backgrounds. And like growing up, I was like a very shy kid, so I think learning about spoken word communities helped me like find my voice and like break out of my shy shell. And it helped me like put my feelings and my complex thoughts on issues like onto paper. But yeah, I think spoken word environments are super cool because it's like instant feedback, instant community, it's like instant love. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And like, yeah, I remember I stumbled across some of these videos and uh, of people performing, and it's like such an amazing experience. And the audience reaction is always supportive and amazing. And I have a friend who really loves poetry, and for some reason he'd never heard of slam poetry before, and I really encouraged him to try it. And this semester he's going to do his first performance there, so I'm excited for him.
Yeah, me and Kalissa, we competed at this thing called Cupsy, like collegiate like poetry slam, and like she could tell you too that like once you're on stage and it's just such a different feeling, and then you get like immediately judged by random people in the audience. Like I've gotten a 2.7 on a poem, which is like a very wild thing to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very dynamic environment.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, Vikash, on top of being a talented dancer and choreographer, you have a very important job of being a master counselor at Daya. What is special about dance that can help us heal and express ourselves more fully? And do you work with people through the medium of dance?
Whew, oh man. Yeah, so to answer the last part first, I don't professionally work on dance through counseling. The counseling and the job that I do is definitely more talk based, more word based, and definitely different kinds of grounding practices and things like that. But in terms of how important dance is as an expression and important movement is as an expression of emotions in and of self, I think one thing that we sometimes forget a lot about is that emotions are not restricted to just brains, right? I mean, emotions are a bodily experience. It's a whole thing. That's why when you get angry, you have tension in your shoulders, and when you have when you're depressed or really sad, sometimes your insides cringe up and psychosomatic things exist. If you feel really nervous, you can get nauseous. I mean, things like this exist, and it's important to know that when you experience emotions, your body is actually experiencing the emotion more so it's your full self that experiences it. And one of the things that attracted me to dance is, especially growing up, I mean, I had to deal with quite a few things, and movement is a way of expressing somatically the emotions that can be pent up in a lot of different ways. And as a therapist, as a counselor, I might have a client and I have people that I say words to and they say words back and we do that. But there's a point where words they're just not good enough. Words can't simulate experiences unless you provide an extra kind of thing to it. And it's so, like, I can't just talk someone. It's kind of like looking at a picture versus describing one. Like if I describe and wrote down a picture to someone and told you this is what it looks like, it's different from actually viewing the picture. Or reading a poem in a monotone versus like performing the poem and adding the tone and the cadences and anything like that. Dance is very similar. Dance provides an experience of an emotion, of expression, and of movement that you can't get with just having a conversation. Sometimes you need an extra level of relatability, an extra level of saying this is how I feel and this is what it is. And so expressing somatically, like psychological somatic just movement is so healing in that way. And sometimes it's not even healing. Sometimes you want to feel angry and you can't, and you need to move through it instead of just something else. And so that's one of the things I think is so important, is that movement is so essential sometimes to expressing ourselves in a very, very fluid way. You don't have to be trained or have technique or anything. You just move, and there's something about it that releases, and it just helps a lot.
Yeah, I think like I'm not really a professional dancer or choreographer, but like when you hit that dance floor, like sometimes like your body just moves and like like your brain isn't even like in it anymore. It's like you just totally feel like you're with everyone else, and like it feels like there's such a higher level communication going on there too. It's dance is pretty amazing to think about for me.
I'm biased, but I agree.
So something that I really I guess I wanted to quickly wrap up with this last question centering on the theme. So I was wondering, like, sometimes it can really be difficult to realize that there are perspectives that aren't being brought to the table. And I was wondering, how can we begin to identify voices that are missing from the conversation? And so I'll hand it off to An to.
That's a really difficult question.
Yeah.
I was thinking a lot about that. I think for me, I can only be really general about it because I think about it in different situations. For me, the first is just always to listen and be critical of what you're doing, whether or not, like for example, within my own work, if I'm writing a comic book, which is what I'm doing, I'm always do your research. If you're writing, your narrative is intertwining with other folks' narratives, be critical of it, and always just leave your space open for learning. As a curator, I think it's about kind of not being the one to control the narrative. It's about kind of opening up your space and making it accessible to those whose story hasn't been heard. And I'm trying to think of a strategy or a way I've done that. But for me, it's just been connecting to community in a really respectful way. I'm not overstepping my boundaries and just be open to letting them do what they need to do. And I'm just one who kind of give them the resources and help make things neat and organize things for them. But the narrative and the story within it is theirs. And then also, I think just, again, in that process, I'm always critical, like, who am I missing within this exhibition? And that's always at the start of the curatorial process. It's never, like something, it's intrinsic within the process. It's never about like tokenship or anything, but, will this exhibition, how do you, like, it won't be complete without this narrative, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really appreciated hearing your perspective, especially as a curator. So Joshua, if you wanted to.
I teach a lot of career writing classes, so I think from that perspective, I always tell people to always like understand and acknowledge your own identity before like teaching or doing any other work that deals with like multiple intersectionalities, right? If I'm teaching like a poem by like Patricia Smith, then I should be upfront with like who I am as my intersectional identities before teaching Patricia Smith, and knowing that any power dynamics or any like stuff like that. And something that like An said that was really important to me growing up and like learning to be a writer is that like if you want to write other identities, the research is so important. I think I forgot the quote, but it's like you have to do like twice the research when you're talking about like crafting characters of other identities that aren't your own. Not to say you can't do it, but be prepared to get like crapped on if you do it wrong. You gotta be aware of those consequences. And also, I think for me particularly, I write a lot about like right now I'm writing a lot about like the mysticity and like the quotidian and like what does Asian American masculinity mean, particularly now when there's like an upheaval of like Asian American masculinity, but I want to find some nuance in it, and I don't want it to be white serving. I think a lot of what's happening with Asian American masculinity is like is in relationship with whiteness and catering to whiteness sometimes. And I want to make sure that we don't do that, and that we don't like fall into a patriarchal mindset with this redefining of Asian American masculinity. Well, I've been gone on a tangent, but anyways, just be aware, just be aware of like who you are as yourself and like your own like power dynamics in society before like, you know, interacting with others or teaching other people's artwork.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. And I'm sure we all love tangents here. You know, it's great to know what Josh was thinking. Um, I guess I have to wrap it up now. So I'll give you guys space to really share your message. Share what you're working on, your socials, and I'll start off with Vikash.
Yeah. So for my socials, it's mostly IG. It's Rom Zuko, and it's at the bottom there. Rom Zuko and Rom Dances. Rom Zuko is just my general one, it's my personal one. Post whatever and whatever. Rom Dances is my personal, just my practice page where I express, move, drill, do private lessons and stuff, and take notes on myself. It's my self evaluation kind of space. I didn't include this. I also want to plug also Dia Houston. For just the amount of work and everything I do. It's an incredible organization, South Asian Domestic Violence. So check them out at diahouston.org and also at their Instagram, Dia Houston. And a real quick shout out to, I want to thank my dancers, Soloni and Vincent, for just being in the video, and my partner, my amazing partner, who portrayed the person that was playing my abuser at the beginning, Janani Shrikant. Thank you, all of you guys for this.
Yeah, I'll bring it to to tell us.
Yeah, you can find my artwork at angbuiart.com and also on Instagram BANH93. Yeah, it's a space. It's not really a space for my work. It's more of just communicating and sharing things. I post my work sometimes, but you know, follow me, I follow you back, and I want to see other people's work on there as well.
And yeah, Joshua.
My socials are Joshua Win 03. My Venmo is also Joshua Win 03. And the website is joshuawinpoetry.com. I have my forthcoming micro chapbook is coming out in Bull City Press next spring. So be on the lookout for that, which I'll post on my socials when it comes out. Thanks for having me, OCA Houston, and thanks for hosting and moderating. I'm glad to be part of this panel.
So yeah, thank you to everyone here. As I said with the last panel, I really wish we could have more time here. But yeah, I'll bring it back to Audrey and Abby to close off the night. And yeah, thank you everyone for showing up.
Oh my God, that was so cute. What? How are we done with day 3 already? That is wild. Like, y'all, we planned this whole festival like with so little time, but we've been able to pull off so much. You know, we thank you to all the performers and artists for tonight, especially thinking around this topic of, you know, giving space for unheard voices. Please check out our live stream tomorrow. That is our last live stream for this festival. Giving yourself time to heal. That's going to be a difficult one. You know, I think that's something that we've also all been asking ourselves as individuals this year. Boom, right there, giving yourself time to heal. And also check out our upcoming workshops. We have yoga, like I said, in the morning tomorrow. We have film, Fighting for Family. And then we also have a documentary showing. Acro yoga, my bad. And then we have documentary showing. Yes! Please follow all of our artists. Hit them up. And again, I think as they all expressed, if you're trying to get into the artistic world, if you have questions, right? Please hit them up. And they all seem like individuals who are open to giving advice and really and helping you out as individuals.
Yes. And to also just check them all out, on all the artists and all the vendors on our marketplace and on our website. You can find it all there. And we still have some amazing promotions going on. So Starry Nite Festival, it goes up till December 20th. But some of these promotions, like the discounts and the boba and all the good merch, is good till the end of 2020. So keep an eye out on that, and just, you know, if you want to get like a last minute gift for somebody, there you go. Thank you everyone for attending, giving up old habits, and giving space for unheard voices. And yeah, I think we're good to sign off.
Good night, everyone.
Face. New eyes that look at the world in new ways. New eyes make contact blue, green, and gray. New eyes I realized I never knew. When you realize feelings you trapped inside of you. New eyes that see the respect you earn. New eyes that shape by the lessons you learn. New eyes attract new guys and new games. And tonight those eyes will be filled with new gazes. New eyes that filled first minute you saw world through new lashes, no chains involved. New eyes insist you take it serious. New eyes filled with confidence and trust. New life written with the passage of time. New eyes that gleam with color that won't die. Who knew I'd see such beauty and love? Two eyes that combine perfection and flaws.
I may not be what you think the standard beauty, but I love my face, my eyes, and body.
Those eyes were once made middle school jokes. Those eyes are stories of our kinfolk. Those eyes are dark but glow in sunlight. Our people been hurt but still we gon' fight. Those eyes contain 5,000 years of pride. Those eyes saw dying stars in no skies. Those eyes are shy but those eyes are kind. Those eyes are so wise, those eyes are like mine. Those eyes speak of turning the other cheek. Those eyes turn down so they couldn't see you weep. They tease you because those eyes are too thin. Synonymous with cheap or prostitute skin. Those eyes are me, those eyes are family. Those eyes are ID of your identity. Those eyes are not weak, those eyes are not wrong. Those eyes are holy, those eyes are from God.
I may not be what you think the standard beauty, but I love my face, my eyes, and body.
What's the price of confidence? What it costs to be happy in your own skin? Not my place to question, but do you see a stranger when the mirror is reflecting? You said I'd never understand the pressure from magazine covers, station mothers and men. Where the tan bleach to blonde, we remix our colors like we cover pop songs in a bottle. How we battle all the barriers, right? Some drink, some color their hair every night. Some try to stand out, some try to act white. Found music, but I've never been the stereotype. New eyes break old lies. New skin needs new wine. New highs and new vibes come through with new life, second coming like Christ. You told me that therapy taught you so much about our parents. We got a chance to reset the path through us. A generation bring the future to the past.